Sarala Guru Nava Dhammaga Arhat Mihindu thero. Let's have a look into the international background that paved path to Poson. In India, there was a kingdom stretching from modern Afghanistan to Bangladesh in the east. This was called the Maurya Empire. The emperor was the great Asoka. He was mad of capturing the neighboring countries and attaching them to his empire. His most notable war was the war at Kalinga, east coast of India. Over 100,000 people were killed in this war, so he was called Chandasoka, the cruel Asoka. But later, he was very much worried about this great killing of life. One day, when he was looking out of his window in the palace, he saw a calm monk walking in front of the palace, and he immediately called the guards and asked them to bring the monk to the palace. They went and brought him to the emperor. He was still standing at the window. He asked the monk to take a seat. He directly went and sat on the throne. The king did not panic. He asked, "Whose dharma do you follow? You look so calm and serene." The monk quoted the Dhammapada and said, "Appamado amatapadam, pamado machuno padam," and continued his sermon. The emperor, very much pleased, asked, "Which monastery do you live?" "I live at the monastery of Arhat Mihindu," said the monk. So subsequently, the emperor visited this temple and was very friendly with the Arhat, learnt Buddhism, and became a strong Buddhist. For the 84,000 Dharma sectors, Asuhardahak Dharmaskande, he made 84,000 pagodas all around India. He patronized the third Buddhist council held in 250 BC. Arhat Mihindu headed council. Here the emperor had to expel 60,000 bogus monks. The most important step taken in the third Buddhist council was sending missionaries to 9 countries. They went to west up to Greece, in the east to Cambodia, Thailand and Myanmar. To the south they came to Sri Lanka in 236 BC. The great Arhat Mihindu and 4 of his disciples, Ittiya, Uttiya, Sambala and Bhaddasala, the 4 Arhats, and Sumana Samanera and Banduka Upasaka, the layman who has attained Anagami at that time. On this Poson Poya day, King Devanampiya went deer hunting, accompanied by 40,000 men around Missaka Parbat, now Mihintale. He heard someone calling Tissa, Tissa. He looked everywhere and saw on the rock shaven-headed monks in yellow robes. "We are disciples of Lord Buddha. In compassion towards you, Maharaja, "We have come here from India," said Arhat Mihindu. "Who is this Arhat Mihindu?" "He is the son of Emperor Asoka. When Asoka became the king, Prince Mihindu was 14 years old. At the age of 20, he ordained under Arhat Moggaliputta as a pupil. He became an Arhat on the same day at his ordination. Later, his sister Sanghamita also got ordained and became an Arhat. Emperor Asoka and King Devanampiyatissa were unseen friends. Really speaking, they were pen pals. Arhat Mihindu first checked whether the king was wise enough to understand Buddha's teachings. He forwarded 2 riddles. Showing a nearby tree, he asked, "What is the name of this tree?" was the first question. And he continued to ask more questions about trees to confuse the king. The second question was, "Have you got relatives?" Again he asked more questions under this to confuse the king. The king answered cleverly. Then the Arhat was satisfied with the intelligence of the king. The Arhat preached Chullahati Padopama Sutra to the king. King and 40,000 embraced and took refuge in the triple gem. The king invited them to the palace. Following day, Arhat Mihindu and party visited the king's palace and had food prepared by king personally. The Arhat preached 3 sermons, Vimanavattu, Pretavattu and Satcha Vibhanga. Queen Anula and 500 companions attained so on. The Arhat continued to preach Dhamma daily in the Mahamega garden. King offered this Mahamega garden to Arhat Mihindu, an order of bhikkhus. At Mahamega garden, first main center of Theravada Buddhism, Mahavihara was built. Mango tree stupa, Ambastal Chaitya, constructed to commemorate the first meeting of the king and Arhat Mihindu. The rock Aradhana Gala is the place Arhat Mihindu delivered the first Buddhist sermon to King Devanampiyatissa. The cave cell Arhat Mihindu lived and meditated for 48 years, from his arrival till passing away, is Mihindu Guhava, Mihindu's cave. He is believed to have slept on a slab of stone in the cave throughout his stay. In the Mihintale Mahasaya, big stupa, Buddha's relics brought from India enshrined. Smaller stupa, Mihindusaya, stupa of Mihindu, relics of Arhat Mihindu enshrined. First ordination of a Buddhist monk in Sri Lanka is Upasaka Banduka, who came with Arhat Mihindu. First Sri Lankan to be ordained as a Buddhist monk were Minister Maha Aritta and 55 others. Minister Maha Aritta was sent to India to meet King Asoka and send a Buddhist nun to Sri Lanka. After his arrival, he and 55 ordained and eventually became Arhats. Queen Anula and 500 companions who were so on wanted to be nuns. For this, Sanghamita Arhat was called here. Arhat Sanghamitra came with 11 nuns, together with number of families of different castes skilled in 18 types of arts and crafts. Arhat Mihindu lived for 48 years on top of Mihintale and passed away at 80. King Devanampiya died 8 years before. Younger brother of King Devanampiya, Uttiya, was ruling when the Arhat attained Parinibbana. The outcome of this mission. 3rd century BC, King Devanampiya and a large number of citizens became Buddhists. Theravada Buddhism was established and 75% of the citizens were Buddhists. King Devanampiya made Buddhism the state religion and made stupas, temples and monasteries throughout the country. Initiated the development of culture, arts and crafts and education. The spiritual interest and moral behavior of the citizens also elevated. Arhat Mihindu introduced a system of writing known as Brahmi script. Regarding the hunting expedition of the king, Arhat Mihindu insisted the non-violence against living creatures and emphasized the duty of a ruler as the guardian of the land. The Arhat said, "O great king, the birds that glide the skies and the beasts that roam the forest have an equal right to live and move anywhere on this land as you have." Arhat Mihindu is remembered by the Buddhists in Sri Lanka as the Buddhist saint from India, considered as the second Buddha to the Sri Lankans. Hence the title Anubuddhu Mihindu, who sacrificed 48 years of his life to introduce, propagate and maintain Buddhism, as well as he is the initiator of Sinhalese Buddhist culture in Sri Lanka.